Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the 30th anniversary of McFarlane Toys, Spawn and Todd McFarlane Spawn 2-pack. Now, this is a pretty cool action figure set. I got the autograph version only because the other one sold out before I could get to it, and I really wanted that Todd McFarlane figure. So this is a version of Spawn, as Todd McFarlane sort of drew him before the Spawn comics actually started. Sort of a pre-Spawn Spawn, if that makes sense. And then we have a Todd McFarlane figure, and that's such a weird thing. It could seem kind of cocky from him, and also kind of cool from him. I believe it's an older version of Todd McFarlane as he looks nowadays, and I love civilian figures, and I love McFarlane toys, so it's perfect for my collection. I got this from the McFarlane toy store, used the coupon code, the bundle discount, etc., and here it is today. So, let's take a look at the package. It's on a clear clamshell. We have Spawn, McFarlane Toys, Spawn autograph series, and I didn't really want the autograph one, but it is what it is. Age of 14 plus. We have the collector's card signed by Todd McFarlane. We have a drawing of Spawn, a microphone, a couple energy picks for Spawn, a couple extra hands for Spawn, and Todd McFarlane in the back. Looks like a couple collector's cards back there. He also has some alternate feet, and that's a pretty weird accessory, but I guess Todd McFarlane likes to walk around barefoot around the office. Yeah, I guess it's a thing. At the bottom, there is the barcode, if that helps. And on the back, here is the original sort of look of Spawn and Todd McFarlane as he looks today. So no further ado, let's open it up. Alright, now that we have these figures out of the package, here they are with all their accessories laid out. We have 2 display stands, a collector's card. Spawn here has 2 energy effects and a total of 4 hands. Todd McFarlane here has a total of 6 hands, alternate feet, a microphone, and a sketch notebook. Before we take a look at all that, let's talk about and check out the figures. So this is a 30th anniversary McFarlane Toys 2-pack. Spawn here is sort of the preliminary prototype version of Spawn as he was drawn before the comics actually came out, and it's not too far from the thing we got. And then Todd McFarlane here. Now, I don't even know what to say. Is it that he's full of himself that he released a toy? Is it just something that he thought people would think was cool? I think it's a combination of both, and I think it's cool. It's right up my alley. I love civilians. I love McFarlane toys. I watch a lot of interviews with him, so it's kind of cool to have a figure in scale with the collection. In this video, we're going to take a look at each of the figures. We'll check out their accessories, height, and articulation, and we'll compare them with a bunch of other action figures. Since I'm personally more excited for the Todd McFarlane figure, as I think it's just kind of a cool thing, let's start off with him. Before we take a look at the Todd figure, let's check out their shared accessories. We have 2 of the display stands. Typical McFarlane display stand we've seen a million times before. This is technically part of the Spawn line, the Spawn and the Todd figure both. It's very thin, very basic. And then we have this collector's card. Now, I bought the autograph series, not by choice, just because I was too slow to get the other one. So the collector's card is Spawn at the top, Todd at the bottom. 30th anniversary. On the back side, signed by Todd McFarlane, Spawn, and Todd McFarlane 2-pack, signature edition. Like I said, not by choice, but it's all good. So let's take a look at the Todd McFarlane figure. Now, this is not the first time that McFarlane has made a figure for himself. He made a figure in the old Spawn line of him as sort of a bum or homeless guy, but this is a 7-inch scale, fully articulated figure. And it looks like Todd McFarlane nowadays. Let's take a look. So, start with his head. He has a baseball cap. It says Spawn on it. Then we have his face. It looks pretty good. It's a little bit goofy. He has that smile, very signature to him. Some features look good. I don't know, the eyes, eyebrows look a little off to me. But as a whole, I can totally see it. Let's go further down. Pretty thin body. I think it's a John Kemp body, but we'll check that out in detail later in the video. And Todd McFarlane's a pretty thin guy. He's fit, he's healthy, he doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, blah blah blah. Spawn logo on the t-shirt. He's got this little badge here, looks like a San Diego Comic-Con badge, pretty cool. Double jointed elbow. Little bracelet thing, or it looks like rather a watch. Double jointed knees. Looks like just some black jeans. I'm a sucker for civilian characters. This guy will be pretty cool. It'd be cool to do a head swap. You could have an extreme McFarlane fan. Hell, if I had a head of an action figure that looked like me, I could make a figure myself. A lot of possibilities, a lot of cool options. If it wasn't a 2-pack, I would have got a couple more of these guys. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Tried to get a little extra light on this thing because the cap made it really dark. I can definitely see Todd McFarlane there. It's a little bit sort of goofy, cartoony, a little bit off, but the resemblance is definitely there. They did a pretty good job. And here's the figure, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories, starting off with his hands. Now let's check out his hands. He has a total of 6 of them, 3 right hands and 3 left hands. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are some outstretched hands. They would look good relaxed to the sides. They're kind of that weird, awkward hand that first premiered with the John Kent figure. Here's his next pair of hands. His right hand is a gripping hand. His left hand is a fisted hand. And here's his last 2 hands. His right hand doing the peace sign, and his left hand is holding a pen. Him sketching Spawn. And the pen itself is actually removable. You can pull it out. You can see it's got a little peg into the hole in his hand there. So you could do something else with that hand if you really, really wanted to. Now let's take a look at his feet. He has 2 sets of feet. One with black shoes on, and one barefoot. I guess the thing, Todd McFarlane likes to walk around the office barefoot, which is kind of gross. I don't know. Some people really like feet. I think feet are nasty. They're disgusting. Wearing shoes and socks, I prefer not to, but that's at home. I wouldn't really want to walk around at work with my shoes off. That'd probably piss off a bunch of people. I'm sure he's had issues with some of his staff because of this. But Todd McFarlane likes to do things his way. Here's Todd McFarlane wearing his shoes, and here he is with his shoes off. You guys smell something? I mean, honestly, it's kind of weird. It's not very professional. He is a businessman after all. Next we have his Comic-Con badge. It's on a little necklace. Looks like San Diego Comic-Con, but not very specific. You can use it for any sort of general pass to get into something. Here's Todd McFarlane with a Comic-Con badge attached. Now for his microphone. He'd use this if he was speaking, I don't know, maybe at San Diego Comic-Con. It's a pretty basic, bland-looking microphone. Not very excited for this accessory because I have about 1 million microphones from various wrestling figures. Here's Todd doing some public speaking with a microphone. And finally, here's his notebook. As you can see, it's a spiral notebook, got the spiral on top, and it has that sort of proto-version of Spawn on there. This is Todd McFarlane's notebook, where he drew and came up with the idea of Spawn. Here's Todd, looking at his notebook, admiring his drawing of Spawn that he has made. Now when I first handled this Todd figure, I thought it's a very lean body. It's probably on the John Kent body. Definitely not on the John Kent body. The guy is all kind of abs sculpted on, Superman logo, etc. That's definitely where those weird, awkward hands came from. I'm not a fan of those hands. And then I thought, maybe he's from the Flashpoint Superman body. That's a little bit more sort of generic and basic. And I don't believe that's the case. If you look at their torsos here, he has a little bit more muscle definition. And even the stomach area, you can see the wrinkles on the material are different on Todd versus him. It looks like it's pretty much all new parts on the Todd body. I don't recall these pants being used before, but it's possible. So, kind of interesting. They can definitely use these parts for future figures. I was curious if this Todd figure used possibly the Constantine pants and legs. So, looking at it, I'd say the feet are definitely the same. You can see the wrinkles at the bottom of the pants. Looks the same. Of course, they fixed that ripped knee. You can see the wrinkles in the knee on his right knee here, looking the same. The crotch diaper piece, also the same. So at least we see where they got half that body from. I don't think this part has been used for anything else. Let me know if you guys have any ideas, if I'm wrong. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at the figure and his accessories, let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing about 7.2 inches tall, which can translate to just over 18 centimeters. And for his articulation. Starting with his head, of course, it can rotate from side to side. He can look up, not much, down about that much. Can tilt his head at least a little bit from side to side. Shoulders on a ball joint, goes out 90 degrees. Up, down, around. He's got this butterfly joint between his shoulder and chest, increasing the range of motion and covering up the gap that would be there. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows. His wrist can rotate, and it's going to be hinged. Double ball joint in his torso. Rotate around, forward and back. Another one is waist. Rotate around, forward and back between the two. Pretty good range of motion in the torso area. Legs, complete as splits. McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation is minimal. They go forward about that far. Go to side a little bit more. Back, not at all. Double jointed knees. Then his ankle. Forward and back. Rotate. Tilt rock. And toe articulation. Here's a look at this newer Todd McFarlane figure. Next to the older Todd McFarlane as a homeless guy or bum from the Spawn line. Different scale. Different style. Same guy. And you can see their faces. They both look like Todd McFarlane in different ways. Definitely a younger version. This is probably about how he'd look when he was drawing, sketching Spawn. Not necessarily homeless, but a little more casual. This is a much more modern version of Todd. Here's the Todd McFarlane figure. Next to some other comic book greats. We have Jack Kirby, Todd McFarlane, and Stan Lee. All legends in the comic industry. Now let's look at the Spawn figure. He looks a little bit weird compared to how Spawn looks nowadays. He looks a little bit more cartoony, but it's a little bit less sort of refined design. But you can definitely see the inspiration Spawn from this figure, this character, this design. He comes with a total of 4 hands and 2 energy effects, so let's take a look. Start with his head. It's definitely the traditional Spawn mask, just a little bit more cartoony, the eyes, etc. Big, giant sort of cape collar, kind of vampire-esque. Clamps here, going to the back. I feel like maybe it's some of the Alan Scott body, but we'll check that out in a little bit. Same color scheme, black, white, and red. Just looks a little bit different from the final design. He's got these skulls on his boot cuffs, kind of interesting. Cape looks good. I don't think I've seen that cape before. It's a very interesting idea for a figure. I think it's pretty cool. And I imagine it's very sort of fitting or fulfilling for Todd to see something like this in plastic form. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. You can totally see Spawn in this, just a little bit less refined. And here's the figure, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now check out his accessories, starting off with his hands. He has a total of 4 hands, 2 right hands, and 2 left hands. Here he is, with his first pair of hands. These are his gripping hands. And here's his second set of hands. His left hand is a fisted hand, and his right hand is sort of a pointing hand, although it's got his pinky out too. Almost looks like maybe Spider-Man doing his webbing. And then we have these energy effects. They have a little handle where you can hold them, and they're almost like energy blades cast in a semi-transparent plastic green. These are definitely reused from some previous Mortal Kombat Spawn figures. Here's that Spawn figure holding those energy blades. When I first saw the Spawn figure, I thought it was done with the Alan Scott body, but to tell you the truth, there's almost no parts that are shared. You can kind of see why I would think that. The collar, the cape, the clamps, it all looks like it could work, but Spawn is a little bit of different body. The torso, the stomach, and the top part are similar, but different to Alan Scott, so no reuse from these 2 figures here. As it turns out, it looks like the Spawn figure is done with the Martian Manhunter body. So, looking at the chest and torso area, I believe the chest as well as the stomach is the same. You see the little sort of line on his pec here. It's on both the figures. The arms look to be the same, including the hands. Diaper piece a little bit different. The legs and boots also appear to be the same. Cape a little bit different, but that's where the reuse comes from. McFarlane has now used this Martian Manhunter body for a total of 6 figures. 2 versions of Spectre, 1 Spawn, and 3 Martian Manhunter. Now for his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing right at 7 inches tall, which can translate to just under 18 centimeters. And for his articulation. Starting with his head, of course, it can rotate from side to side. It can look up and down about that much, up not too much, down pretty good amount. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint goes up a little bit more than 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got this butterfly ring between his shoulder and chest, increasing the range of motion and covering up the gap that would be there. Bicep cut. double jointed elbow, his wrists rotate and hinged, and his torso double ball joint, rotate around, forward and back, and his waist rotate around, forward and back. Get a little more range out of the waist and the torso on this guy. Legs, complete does the splits, McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation is minimal. Legs go forward that far, a little bit more to the side. Back, not much. Double jointed knees. And his ankle, forward and back. Rotate, tilt, rock, and of course, toe articulation. Now let's check them out next to some more modern, recent Spawn figures. And let's check out the best ones. This is the Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn. This is what started off really the entire modern Spawn line. When they released this character in the Mortal Kombat 11 line just to kind of test the waters, it was so popular, sold out everywhere immediately, and showed there was a thirst and interest for a 7-inch scale fully articulated Spawn figures. And here he is, next to a Shadow of Spawn figure. This is also part of the Mortal Kombat 11 line, and is a really nice Spawn release. Most people either think this is their favorite Spawn, or the original Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn. I prefer the original Mortal Kombat 11 because he has a more textured body. Here he is, next to the Throne Spawn, part of the actual Spawn line. This Spawn figure is fantastic, except he only has part of a cape. If he had the whole thing, he'd be a contender for the best Spawn figure. And now, here he is, next to the DC Multiverse Batman vs. Spawn 2-pack Spawn. This is my personal favorite Spawn. The cape is really big, massive, impressive. The articulation is a little bit hindered from the size of the cape, but he just looks so damn good. Here's this sort of proto-Spawn figure, next to the best 4 Spawn figures in the modern Spawn line. I do wish I could compare him to the Kickstarter Spawn, but I don't have that one, unfortunately. Here's the story of Todd McFarlane, from rags to riches. But all joking aside, you should check out his documentary. It's on YouTube. It's actually very interesting how he started off by sending his drawings to comic companies every single day, and it took him at least a year before they actually responded to him. Then he came in, blew up the comic industry, separated, made his own brand of comics, made his own toys, shook the market that way, and then went so far as to actually go bankrupt, pretty much lost everything, and then rose back up, and now he's at the top again. Here's a look at Todd McFarlane drawing his character. He's making Spawn, and you can see Spawn in his head, pointing and guiding him along the way. And then nowadays, here's Todd McFarlane in his office, McFarlane Toys. Notice he's barefoot. Here's a look at Todd McFarlane in front of a huge crowd of people, speaking publicly at San Diego Comic-Con. Now let's check him out next to some other action figures, starting off with some of their recently released Spawn figures. Here they are, with the rest of this wave. We have Commando Spawn, and then Spawn from the artwork of Spawn number 311, and then Hell Spawn. And here they are, next to the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive black and white accent Mandarin Spawn. And here they are, next to the Amazon exclusive glow-in-the-dark Redeemer. Then, next to the deluxe King Spawn. And finally, next most recent Spawn wave, we have both the regular and platinum versions of Disruptor and the Reaper. Now let's check them out, next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how they fit in both scale and style-wise, in case you don't know which lines you can mix them with. Since they're McFarlane Toys, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the large action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller. But first, let's check them out with some of the McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. And now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures, and some DST or Diamond Select toys. Here are these figures, next to one of my wife's hair clips. And here they are, next to some DC Direct and NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel and Jazzwares wrestling figures. And now, with some Mezco and Mattel DC figures. Next, with some Mafex and Hasbro Marvel Legends. And finally, next to some SH Figure Arts and some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, this is a really fun action figure set. Now, I do think Todd McFarlane making a figure of himself is part of his sort of full of himself attitude. That's just Todd McFarlane for you. But I ate right into it. I liked the figure. I was excited when I saw it, and I really wanted to add to my collection, and here it is. Spawn figure. It's also cool, but not nearly as cool as a Todd figure in my opinion. I have plenty of Spawn figures that I like, and they look like the modern version of Spawn. This one isn't really accurate to anything for the Spawn comics, but it's cool to have a proto version of Spawn. Now, the accessories are plentiful, especially Todd McFarlane stuff. I can put that to a lot of use. Really cool. The sketch of Spawn, the pen, San Diego Comic-Con badge, etc. The articulation is everything you expect from a modern McFarlane DC Multiverse figure. Sculpt and paint job are good. The likeness to Todd McFarlane is there, but a little off as well. If I were to rate these figures, I'm going to give the Todd figure a strong 7.5 out of 10, and then the Spawn figure probably a 6.5 out of 10. They're both very solid releases, smart reuse, and it's a really fun figure set. I had a lot of fun making the action scenes, story of Todd McFarlane. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.